I wanted to talk about something most content around Leica skip. And it's not the lens, it's not the settings, it's the memory card that's sitting inside your camera right now. Because here's the thing, you spent a lot of money on this camera. And there's a real chance that the card you've been using is holding you back. Every time you put the card in, it freezes the camera. But it could be just dropped frames, corrupted clips, or a buffer that won't clear when you actually need it to. And if you've been thinking about upgrading or buying a spare, I need you to hear this. The situation around memory cards has changed dramatically in the past few months. Prices are up, supply is tightening, and one of the biggest names in the business just exited the market entirely. So let's talk about what's happening, what your Q3 actually needs, and exactly what I would recommend, whether you shoot videos, stills, or both. And then links for everything I talk about are going to be in the description below, so you don't need to write anything down or take notes. First, the market has changed. And let me give you the quick version of what's actually happening because it directly affects the decision you want to make today. The memory cards you buy for your camera uses the same NAND flash that goes into AI data centers, believe it or not. Google, Microsoft, Meta, Anthropic, OpenAI, they're all building infrastructure at scale that is consuming flash memory faster than the manufacturers can produce it. Demand's growing at about 33% annually, and it shows no sign of slowing down. Manufacturers like Samsung, Micron, for example, have all responded by shifting their factory capacity towards high bandwidth memory chips for AI processors. There's a higher margin in this, there's a higher demand for it. So the byproduct of all this is that fewer wafers are going towards the SD cards on the shelf at B&H or Amazon. And we've also seen this in SSDs, for example, those are also skyrocketing in price. So SanDisk has already raised prices about 50%. So a card that was $30 not long ago is pushing $60 for the standard option and significantly more for professional grade like V90 cards, for example. Industry forecasts say that there's no meaningful price relief until at least mid to late 2027. And then last week, Sony announced that they're suspending orders on nearly their entire memory card line. So that means SD cards, CF Express cards, all of it is shut down for the foreseeable future. So one of the three major players in this market is now effectively gone. This is not a reason to panic, but it is a reason to act thoughtfully and not put this off if you're considering getting a card. The cards I'm going to recommend are available right now at the time of making this video, which is April 2026. Now, whether that's still true in 6 months is a little bit less certain, so keep checking the market. But the situation foreseeably isn't going to get better, it's going to get worse. So if you're thinking about doing something, now is probably the time to make a decision. So let me help you with it. Let's talk about what your Q3 actually needs. Your Q3 requires a UHS-II card, full stop. A UHS-I, which is what's shipped with most older cameras, which fills the discount bins, tops out at about 104 megabits per second theoretically. A UHS-II goes up to 312. So if you put a UHS-I card in your Leica Q3, you're not getting the camera that you paid for. It's bottleneck effectively. Within UHS-II cards, there are two speed classes that matter for the Q3. You'll see these marked on the card. It'll be either V60 or V90. The number is the minimum guaranteed sustained write speed in megabits per second. Not peak, not a burst, but sustained. So that distinction matters enormously when you're recording for an extended period of time. Now we're going to talk about video first. And here's the thing that surprises most people. 8K video on the Q3 runs at about 300 megabits per second. That's roughly 37 megabytes per second sustained. So a V60 card handles it pretty comfortably. But in 4K, in all intra encoding, or the highest quality 4K mode in ProRes level quality, it's up to 600 megabits per second. That's 70 megabytes per second sustained. So you need a V90 for that. Not because the V60 is slow, but because 600 megabits per second is genuinely demanding, and sustained is the operative word. So that surprises most people, and it's what surprised me. And it's also the single most important thing I want you to take away from this part of the video. What card do you actually need? Let's make this simple. There's 3 questions, and I want you to answer them honestly, and then you'll know exactly what to buy. So, do you shoot video? And I know there's a lot of people in my comment section that don't think this is a video camera and think video in a Leica is a horrible idea. We're shooting video on the Leica right now. If the answer is no, and you shoot raw photos only, and you never touch the video modes, then I'll have a specific answer for you in a moment, but let's keep going. Question 2 is, do you shoot 4K all intra or 8K cinema formats? If you do, then you're going to need the highest quality 4K editing modes. So if you're using the highest quality 4K encoding modes, or you're shooting cinema 8K in MOV format, then you need a V90. No debate. A V60 card will struggle under sustained load and you'll lose footage. If you shoot standard 8K or standard 4K, like we're doing now, and you don't use all intra encoding, a V60 UHS-II card covers most of the video specs for you. So you can step down from a V90 card and save a little bit of money without giving anything up in your actual workflow. Now, for those that just shoot stills only, here's your question. Do you do any kind of burst mode shooting? Do you fire off in rapid sequences? Do you shoot any sports or fast-moving kids? Or anything where you're holding the shutter button down for multiple frames? If yes, or you think you might want that ability to do that effectively, then a V90 is worth it. Not because single raw files demand it, but because the buffering clearing speed determines how fast you're ready to shoot again. A V90 card clears the Q buffer noticeably faster after a burst, and if getting to the next shot quickly matters, then a V90 then will earn its keep from a pricing standpoint. If no, and you deliberately just shoot one frame at a time, landscape, portraits, travel photography, basic stuff, then a V60 S2 card is completely sufficient. The Q3 writes a DNG file to a V60 card in under a second. You'll never feel the difference. Save the money or put it towards a second card as a backup. The shorter version will be a V90 card for video first shooters and burst photographers, a V60 for deliberate still shooters. Either way, UHS-II is a non-negotiable for this camera. So one important thing before the recommendations I make, because the marketing of memory cards is generally misleading, you'll see cards advertised with read speeds of 200 or 250 or 300 megabits per second. That number is how fast the data comes off the card onto your computer. It has nothing to do with the actual recording. What matters when you're shooting is write speed, how fast the data goes onto the card, not off the card. And marketers lead with the bigger number because it sounds more impressive. So read speed equals marketing, write speed equals what actually matters. Trust the V speed rating, V60 or V90. That's the number. Everything else is context. On capacity, the Q3 shooting 8K in MOV fills the card pretty quickly. A 256 gigabyte card will give you roughly about 2 hours of standard 8K footage before you're swapping that out. Given where prices are heading, buying a 256 card now costs less than buying two 128 cards. Now, go ahead and look and see what's inside your camera. If it doesn't say UHS-II and V60 or V90, you have the wrong card, and so you're going to be spending some money after this video. These cards are the ones I actually put in my cameras. The first one I use is this one, and these are both 256 gigabyte cards. Your mileage may vary on the size type of card that you use, but this is the OWC Atlas Ultra V90 UHS-II card. This is the primary card right now that I'm running in my Q3 43. I also had a chance to talk to OWC at the WPPI conference in Las Vegas, And this is what you get out of this card, which is 300 megabits per second read, 250 megabits per second write, V90 certified. It's also IP67 water and dust resistant. And then OWC has been building storage for professionals for decades. This card is fast, it's reliable. This is the card that I wish I bought when prices were lower because they're just bulletproof. There's also some technology on this card if you use with their card reader systems that will actually analyze the card, and if there's a problem with it, it can proactively flag that and then also try to fix it. So that's another kind of thing in their ecosystem that if you're considering moving to OWC, that there's some value around that. The second card I've used, Lexar. This is the same V90 spec. It's 300 megabits per second read. It's got excellent real-world performance across both stills and video. It's typically priced below the OWC, which makes it the right call if you're a little bit more budget conscious or you need a spare. I use this in my Q3 28 and it works just fine. And it's just an all-around great card. A third choice for you would be something like the SanDisk Extreme Pro V90 UHS-II. If you walk into a Best Buy or B&H today and you want a V90 card off the shelf, this is what you're going to find at most stores. And it's a good choice for a 300 megabyte per second read and a 260 megabyte write. It's also IP68 rated. It's widely available, it's well tested, and it's the most prominent V90 option on the market. And then with Sony out of the picture, it's a solid card. So if you're stills only and you need a V60 card, I would also recommend the Lexar Professional, and it's a great spec for deliberate still shooting. And then it's got a meaningful lower price. So if you answered yes in the decision tree and landed on a V60 card, I would recommend the Lexar. So there's 3 questions before I close out this video. One is, does your card say UHS-II? If not, it's going to be time to upgrade. If you have any of the Leica Q systems or any kind of high-end, high megapixel camera. Question 2 is, does it carry a V60 or V90 rating? If you can't find it on the label, assume it isn't rated for sustained professional use. Question 3 is, when did you buy it? Cards degrade over write cycles. So if it's been in your bag for 3 or 4 years, a spare is pretty cheap insurance, especially right now. In closing, the right card doesn't make your Q3 better. It lets your Q3 be what it already is. This camera can shoot cinema 8K, it can shoot ProRes quality 4K video. So don't let a $40 price difference be the weakest link in a $6,000 or $7,000 system. Drop a comment down below on what cards you use and what you would recommend. I'm genuinely curious what the community is using and then what your experience might be to help someone else make their decision. So hope this was helpful and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.